Yeah, welcome back to another episode of the WazzyCircus Radio, the show where I sit down with some of the most important people that I've met in my life. You're going to figure that out today. This is a heavy show, man. Our toast to life today is brought to you by Tullamore. It's an Irish whiskey. It's been triple distilled. I love this whiskey. I think Sam King put me onto this. You guys know Sam King. Aging this unique blend of all three types of Irish whiskey, golden grain, pot still, and malt, in Oloroso sherry and old bourbon casks brings out the character and flavor of this award-winning whiskey. I love Tullamore. It's sweet, it's smooth, and my guest today has chosen another drink. He's going to drink the, what is it?
We have here a Tequila Reserva del Viejo. That is an aged tequila. That's why it's a little bit yellow, and it gets a little bit more of a smooth taste. It's coming from the state of Veracruz, which is on the coast on the Gulf of Mexico. And it's very nice, very smooth, very enjoyable.
All right. So we got that on our familiarity, our fam trip to Cozumel to see if we could pull off the Cozumel cenote trip. And we pulled it off, man. We were at Skydive Mex. Shout out to Skydive Mex. Shout out to Jorge. Shout out to Alejandro. Shout out to that air van. They got a dope plane. They got a dope operation. You're landing on the beach. And we figured out how to make it easy for you. The WazzyCircus Cenote trip will be up. If you want more information, you can find us on WazzyCircus.com. Go ahead and go to the adventure page. If you want to sign up for one of the trips, get on the waiting list. I offer it to the prior guests first, so they fill up kind of fast. If you're on the list, I'll give you like 6 months notice, and we have payment plans and stuff. It's really cool. Our shout-outs today to our Patreon Patriots, Nicholas Romo, Big Swole Nick, my pimpin'-powered paramotorist, Jeff Gowie, Nick James, Heather Cheney. Her show is going off the charts. I probably got more views on that show than any other show, other than Simon Bones right now. Jonathan O'Rear, My Eyes in the Sky, Go Air Force. Adrian Lewis, new shredder in the game. And Jordan Meyer. Hey, if you guys are up in the Portland area, go fly with Jordan Meyer. He's the funniest cat ever. He's one of my favorite people. He's a big red beard, big, tall, goofy guy. I give you a big hug. Love you, Jordan, man. Thank you for supporting. Hey, you guys give what you think it's worth. 5, 10, 20, we got $50 supporters. We're going to use the money for good, and we're going to bring more guests. We're going to buy more equipment. We're going to do more road shows. Awesome. What's next? All of your questions today and future shows will be coming from our Patreon patriots, like Adrian Lewis today. You want to get involved? What you need to do is stop, like, and subscribe now, and then go to patreon.com/WazzyCircus Radio. All right. 18 skydives. 20-plus hours in the tunnel. He's learning how to sit fly. I think, are you struggling on transitions because he hasn't began knee flying yet? And maybe we should talk about knee flying for a second because it's very important before we get to the deep subjects. Our guest today is the Associate Professor of Molecular Biosciences at the University of Texas, Austin. He's been teaching the biosciences for more than 22 years. He's taught a lot of you guys. He's taught a lot of my friends the biosciences. My guest, Professor Arturo DeLozanne. Dude, such an honor. Is it Dr. DeLozanne also?
Sure.
Oh, sure, whatever.
Just among us, just Arturo.
Arturo. No way. Professor to me, man. I got a humble.
And this show is going to be viral.
I hope so. Not that kind of viral. Oh, that's funny, man. What is that? Oh, this. Okay, this needs to go down. All right. So, COVID. Forget COVID.
No, you said sit fly.
Let's talk about something fun.
Yeah.
All right. What are you doing in your transitions? Are you doing the fly swatter? Are you coming over real hard? Whack.
Yes, and Austin was telling me that I was just basically going belly flying when I'm at 90 degrees. So then I'm just going against the wall.
Okay. You're pushing your hips forward.
I'm pushing my hips forward. Yeah, I'm arching it out.
And that's skydiving. That's what's doing that to you.
Yeah.
You're like, oh no, I'm unsafe arch. Oh, that's funny.
Well, I figure if I'm high enough, I can just not swat before I hit the ground. But
in your sit fly drills, have you gone forward and back on the net, like walking and doing your chest forward and back on the net?
On the net, yes.
Like walking, right?
Yeah.
So when you push back on the wind, it drives you forward, right?
Yes.
So if you go from your back and get vertical and then do that position, what way are you going to go?
Forward. Yeah. I was looking at the videos, but see, the thing is that there's something about and you guys have to figure out tricks or exercises, because in my head when I'm there, I'm picturing that I'm doing what I'm being told, but when I look at the video, then I clearly see I'm not at all. Right?
When's the last time you flew with me? Because I'll tell you, you're not pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, no, all the instructors are telling me, no, you need to do this way. And I nod my head, I say, I understand, and I just do the same stuff again.
Because you're not
Because it
special.
feels in my body like I'm doing it, but I'm not.
Hey, I have people kicking and riding the bicycle on the net, flopping their legs as hard as they can, right?
Yeah.
Like almost damaging themselves.
Yeah.
We get out of the wind, I'm like, what are you doing with your legs? Oh, they were straight.
Yeah.
They were straight, bro. I was
Yeah.
pushing. And you show the video, like, oh, they weren't straight.
Yeah.
You know? You're right. There are drills. Like we were speaking before we came on, the knee fly drills.
Yeah.
Right? Because what you're doing is you're getting lost in the transition.
Yeah.
What do you do in this weird free fly space you've never been in? Because now you're vertical.
Yeah.
You're literally vertical. If you stay there long enough, you're going to drop. And you can feel that air disappear. So your instinct is like, get out of this, and it's arch. But when you're vertical, that drives you forward toward the glass.
Yeah.
When you get to the knee fly and you're comfortable, you just stop and pause.
Yeah.
So free coaching, I teach it in 1, 2, 3. Vertical first, because you need momentum.
Yes.
Have you ever done a flip on a trampoline?
No.
No. Okay. Well, on a trampoline, you jump up and you flip at the apex, and then you come down. You don't jump up, start coming down, then try to throw a flip, and you don't just throw a flip on the net. You go up and then flip. Okay. So first, blast up so you can go through that negative space with some time.
Yeah.
If you don't have any momentum and you just stop, you just fall.
Yeah.
As soon as you get vertical, you fall. Everybody does it, and it's scary, and you wiggle, right?
Yeah.
But if you get that momentum up, you can go up, and now you're in no man's land. And if you have a bad drive, you're moving. That's when you pause on your knees.
Yeah.
So I would recommend 10 to 15 minutes on your knees. 10 minutes on your knees. Figure it out. Have you ever walked on a slack line? A slack line. You ever seen the slack line things? They put the trees in tree?
No, I want to though.
They're really hard.
Yeah.
Right? They're really wobbly.
Yep.
That's what your knees feel like.
Yeah.
They're really hingy.
Yeah.
Right? So like getting there is like hard to stay there. But once you get it, you can just lay down on your belly, lay down on your back. And you know that back to knee fly to belly, back to sit, sit fly. Another tip, what got you up into the sit is what's going to hold you there. You can't get up and relax and fall back down.
Yes.
What got you up, if you do it too much, you're going over.
Yeah.
So you got to find that weird
balance. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's your belly fly?
Good.
Is it?
I feel very comfortable on belly.
How many flight nights have you done?
4 or 5.
Nice.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the new stuff we're doing?
I saw the one that you guys did with the circles, and I was so mad that I missed it.
That is
I
that
love,
new. I wonder if we could pull that up. We showed it on the last show, didn't we?
I love
It's
doing
on
those
our
circles.
Facebook. Yo, so it's the 3 hoops with the light game combined.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes, I was showing my son the video, and then I realized, the person on the top is doing the lights.
Yes.
And then the 2 people on the bottom are doing...
So it's called the Mission Impossible. Okay, the guy on top's the hacker. He has to fly through and put in a code to open the gates for the agents to get through and swap information. So they do a double burrow hop.
Nice.
And then the hacker opens the gate and they all pass through at the same time.
Yeah.
And it's how many times you can get the mission done.
Yeah.
It was super fun, man. If you can find it, it'd be dope. When you do, we'll pull it up. Yeah, man. So we're trying to take it as far as we can.
Yep. Yeah.
I think that's it. I mean, I don't throw firecrackers in there. I don't know what else we could possibly do.
Well, no, it's always enjoyable. So you don't have to bump it up, right?
Yeah,
It's just practice and getting to work with other people and just the experience of actually flying with other people in the tunnel.
It's true.
Well, there's no opportunities to do that, generally speaking.
Right.
So you don't have to.
But I do, because what I run into is some of the people have been there for 5 years.
True.
And then some of the people are newbies.
Exactly. Right.
So how do I keep
the balance?
So it's got to be cutting edge and easy.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Yeah.
Figure out cutting edge and easy.
Yeah.
And safe.
Yeah. And
impossible.
But it's fun.
I pull it off.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got hurt on a skydive once, didn't we?
We did. Well, not up there.
Not up
down
there.
in the ground. Up there was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great. You actually had the greatest exit out of any student I've ever had in my career. You came off that plane. Remember that, dude?
Yep,
It
yep.
was so perfect. I was like, you're like an excellent flyer.
Thank you. Yeah.
Canopy pilot. Yeesh.
Yes. Well, as long as there's no crosswinds, I was pretty good.
Watch this. The wind only goes, it doesn't go crosswind. The wind goes in one direction.
Yeah.
The wind doesn't decide to go crosswind.
And I think the advice that I took the wrong way was to say, I was flying that weekend and previous weekends, and with some winds that were not going my way.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody said, just drive, right? And so that
What? Who's somebody?
somebody
said?
told me,
Who's
just
this
drive.
somebody?
I'm
What
not
does
gonna
that
say.
mean? What does that mean?
Just,
Just go for it?
Yeah, just if you want to go, you just take a control and drive.
But no.
And correct, right?
That's not what I taught you.
Well,
I taught you to turn in high, make corrections, and fly it straight in.
straight in, yeah.
Fucking
So-
drive.
So
So you drove.
I drove and
and
slammed my
which
head.
crosswind- Oh, he hit his head. Hey, you're a very important person.
Nah.
Shush. Your work is very important. You might not be nothing, but your work is important to a lot of people.
It was fun, yeah.
No. Your work in life. So you can't be banging
Oh,
your head, is what I'm saying. You
Yes.
can't be getting hurt, especially your head.
Especially my head, yes.
Yeah, man. That sucks. The wind doesn't go crosswind.
I've
That's only
learned that.
pilots. That's only pilots on a runway that's fixed. You have
Uh-huh.
a grass field. I want you to. Dang it! You need to come to California, and you're not coming.
Yeah. Well,
I want y'all to know last year's California trip was designed around
For
this
me.
man to get him back in the sky, and then he backed out. So
yeah.
now you're just busy.
Yeah.
You got classes galore.
Right now I'm very, very involved in teaching. I have a lot of really fun courses that I'm teaching. I'm interacting with an amazing group of students. I'm loving it.
Is it in person at UT?
This semester, yes.
Last
Semester was still online.
virtual.
but, yeah.
How'd that go?
Much better than I thought.
Really?
Yeah. So when COVID hit, we were forced to immediately go online. We tried to do the best we could. The students tried to do the best they could. We were like, okay, we're gonna make this work somehow. By fall, we had time to prepare and think about it. So by that
okay.
time, I was already prepared and set up the course in such a way that I could make it a better experience for them online. So we had a good time. I basically, cut back a lot on assignments, on expectations, and just really spent a lot of time talking about, their experience, making sure that they were well taken care of.
How many students were you interacting with at a time?
It's 150 students. Wow. So, yeah.
How do they do lab?
Fortunately, I don't have to do the labs, right? So, but labs were really a mess.
Of course.
And
What would you do?
many labs that could went online in the sense of, they had enough. They would provide students, for example, with data sets and then show them, okay, you're not getting the data yourself, but this is what a data set looks like.
Would have happened. Yeah.
And then what do you do with this, right? And
Straight
then
old school, huh? They had to go old school.
also exactly, right? Yeah,
They had to teach again.
exactly.
What do you prefer? After you've done both.
Oh, I love in person.
In person.
There's nothing like being in person, being able to see their eyes. Right now, we're still wearing masks, so I'm telling them, whenever next semester when you run across, when I run across with you and you say hi, I'm going to ask you to put your mask back because otherwise I'm not going to recognize you.
It's just eyes, right? Like,
It's just eyes, right? Or I say, okay, everybody make a smiling face. Everybody make a frowning face. It makes no difference. so there's still, it's still not the right way.
Like, I've taught a bunch of classes when their masks on. it's like they're, I don't know, if you can't see their mouths, it seems like they're more attentive. You can't see the rest of the emotion.
Correct. Exactly.
So it seems like they're listening.
The communication is lacking, right?
Yeah.
Generally, I try to modulate my my class, what I'm talking about, depending on reactions I see from them, which involves the entire phase. And if sometimes I really capture that, they're not following, or what I'm talking about is not making full sense.
Right.
So then I pause, go back, and try to explain in a different way until I see them, following me. And the mask is blocking that a lot.
It's just eyes.
Yeah.
Man, that's weird. So your class is what? It's not 150 at a time. It's what, 50
so this
times?
semester I split it into two halves of 75, and then I meet with one half one day, and then another half another day, and then I give them things to do on their own the other days.
Is this the master's program or is this the undergrad?
It's a freshman class.
It's a freshman class.
Straight out of high school, kids that spend their entire last year in high school online.
Oh, wow.
And of course, they're really excited about getting back on campus, being in person.
Nice.
So very high energy.
Lots of enthusiasm.
Lovely class to talk with.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, I just love it.
The humdrum's been cut out of the last 30 years.
Yeah.
Huh? Like boom, reset.
Yeah.
How? Let's talk about it.
But it taught us a lot about what things we can do online, about what things don't work at all online, and how we can involve that technology in every day. So, for example, Zoom works really well for office hours because the students can be in their dorm. They don't have to walk all around campus to my office. I could offer office hours at night. I don't have to, we can do it in our pajamas.
So it kind of advanced education by leaps and bounds if you think about it.
Providing new tools and taught us to do new things, but there's nothing like being in person.
Right. But without the pandemic, we wouldn't have been forced as a nation to adapt to. Man, it was like a push forward.
It was brutal. It was bloody.
Was brutal.
But, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right on. Like COVID. So, first question to start this off. If you've had the virus and you beat it naturally, are you more protected than if you got the RNA vaccine?
So studies suggest that that when you have the vaccination, you have a stronger immune response than when you have an infection.
Why do I hear the opposite of that everywhere else?
Where is everywhere else? In Facebook?
Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
I'm an avid listener. I've been listening for years. He inspired this podcast. It's not him though.
Correct.
It's the doctors on his show. It's
Correct.
not Joe. If
Correct.
you guys listen to the show, it's not him saying, "I'm a doctor, I know."
Right.
He brings professionals on that know. It sounds like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
they're very rational.
Absolutely right.
And
so
some studies were showing that if you've had it and you beat it, you have the antibodies.
You do have antibodies
stronger than the RNA vaccination, which you need 3 shots for right now.
Right, because the immunity wanes, right? So
why not? Why didn't it wane for the polio vaccination or the other vaccinations?
Right. So all viruses are different, right? So you cannot generalize and say because of one, then it will be generally applicable, right?
So that's important to distinguish. Let's go back to the natural immunity of you've acquired it, and because of maybe vitamin D or your lifestyle, you work out, you sauna, and you beat it. You are not as protected as somebody who, I guess it all varies because it depends on their lifestyle also, because they got the vaccine, but if they're not healthy.
And in other conditions, right? So diabetes, obesity, age like me, right, etc.
Right. But if you're a young, healthy Marine and you got it, and you beat it, are you safe?
You're safer than if you hadn't, for sure, right? So it's where is safe is all a relative term, right? So are you safe if you were in tiny little rooms surrounded by infected people? No. Right. So there's no black and white. So you really have to think on a gray scale, right? So there's no on-off switch that is permanent for all time. So it's all a gradation. So if you are young, are the chances that you're gonna get infected? Probably much less than if you were old. Why? Because you have a stronger immune system that when it gets exposed to that virus is going to be able to mount a defense and kill the virus before it kills you, right? But it depends also on the dose of virus that you get.
Yeah, the viral load.
Right. So if you get a few viruses that your immune system are able to catch them and mount an immune response before the viruses replicate, then you're good. If you get a big bolus of viruses, your immune system is not going to have a chance to defend you before they reproduce tremendously.
So, where would you get a big dose of like an indoor setting with no masks?
Correct, right. So if you have indoor setting, if you are chatting with somebody who's infected face to face and having conversation, if you kiss them, right?
yeah.
Then you're gonna have a much stronger exposure, right? So there's all of those variables are gonna be influencing the probability that somebody gets infected, that somebody gets sick, and then potentially whether somebody dies from it, right? So statistically speaking, we should not really talk about anecdotal evidence, which is evidence, but of the experience of individuals.
Okay.
Right. If we want to think about what we should do as a group as a society, right? What we have to do is look at large numbers of peoples and then see what their experience is in different conditions, right? So those types of studies are hard to do and they take a long time. And depending on the groups of people, you might get nuanced variations on the results. So they're not going to be exactly aligned with each other until we have studies after studies after studies. And this is all very new.
So
you could, let me just finish this one thing. So you could certainly have doctors in Rogan's show who have seen patients that they have worked with and seen how their disease progression has gone and be totally honest about it, be earnest about it. But those experiences may not be generally applicable to the rest of the population. And that's where the problem comes in, that we take those examples and then try to generalize it to everybody else.
And spread them out, right. But you were just saying it takes time and studies and over, but we had this vaccine really fast.
Yes.
Right? And it's not from my understanding, it was just determined to be called a vaccine recently. Before, it was an RNA gene therapy, where a vaccine was an inert molecule of whatever it is, the virus that your body could beat up and learn how to beat up, and build more thugs to beat up the virus when it comes in your body. This is different. This is RNA. It transfers information in between stuff. So it's not even DNA. It's just so that's deep, man.
Yeah.
That's not normal. Like, one day, will there be people saying, like, I've never had gene therapy, I'm a natural human, where you've had gene therapy, you're altered like a freaking corn. Like, are we now GMO human beings after getting this
I love
RNA vaccine? Because it's not a vaccine, though. It's a gene therapy.
Okay, so let me ask a few questions.
Let me ask one more question. What other vaccines were gene therapies before this? And what other vaccines did not use the inert virus before this? Or is this brand new?
Got it. Yeah, so lots of really good questions. Let me ask a couple of questions to see where you are at.
Yes.
What kind of understanding you have.
I'm the unwashed swoopers of the world. I don't know anything.
I love it. Exactly.
Okay,
right.
cool.
So, which is perfect, right?
Cool.
So when you say that this is a gene therapy,
yes,
what do you mean by that?
I mean that they're going in with new code.
Mm-hmm.
They're uploading something into our bodies and changing the way we react to this thing,
Got
is
it.
what I've been told.
Okay.
But if they can do that, they can change. If they can manipulate it on the genetic level, they can make us sterile. They can make us blind. They can make us dumb. Right? If they can change the way our body, if it's code, if it's literally code like a website code, they can do anything they
They
want.
can program you into doing anything.
Well, or they can program you to
Your
die
body.
early.
Got it.
Right?
Okay.
You could have cancer. They could inject, right? It might not, I mean, if you can write code in somebody's body, you can trigger something to where the population dies off sooner, so there's less burden on, I've read a lot of stuff.
I love this.
I know it's crazy, but is it code?
Okay.
Is it code?
Yes and no.
And what's the potential of the code?
Right. So, I think it's important to have a perspective on, and not be extrapolating and being alarmed by things, right?
Okay.
So, all the things that you were talking about, we can do without any RNA, right? I can give you cancer easily.
Fuck you, Arturo.
By feeding you things, right?
Right.
So I can easily give you cancer by putting you on a tanning bed, right?
Can you inject cancer into my body?
Well, I could if you allow me to.
No.
So sure, of course,
Okay.
you can inject cancer cells. So cancer is not transmissible because cells don't transmit. But if I
Right.
take cancer cells from a patient and inject them to you, are gonna get cancer. Right?
Could you code my cells to produce cancer cells from an RNA
Could I what,
virus?
Ken?
Could you tell my cells, my existing immunity cells, my white blood cells, to produce cancerous white blood cells from an RNA? Can you code them to produce something deadly for my body? And can you? From that RNA virus. I mean, can you code something crazy like diabetes into a person?
Yes. You not diabetes, but you could certainly do with cancer.
Okay.
Right? So
it's dangerous.
well, everything is dangerous. Skydiving is dangerous.
No, it's not. Cyprus
Everything we do, right?
Yeah.
Drinking
is not dangerous.
is pleasant.
Okay.
Right?
No,
So-
okay. I see what you're saying. But
Okay. So, but you were asking, is it code? Right. So,
Yes.
and also, what do you? Before I go there, what is a vaccine?
a vaccine, in my layman's unwashed
Understanding.
swooper terms. I'm
Yes.
a packer. The job's not as a packer. I'm a mower. His mowers are great. A vaccine, they take a virus and they kill it, and they take away its guns, and then they put it in your neighborhood, right?
Okay.
So you can pick its pockets, see what it's about, take
Yeah.
it apart, and then when that neighborhood,
Shows
that
up
other
again.
gang shows up again, we know that they use
Got it.
switchblades, so we got machine guns.
Yes.
And I can take out a virus in my body because I
Lovely.
know what they're coming. And if they got machine guns, I got rocket launchers because I understand
Yes.
what's coming.
Awesome. All right.
That's a
great.
vaccine.
Yes.
RNA,
No,
hold on. the
not
RNA
anymore.
no, not anymore. Since when?
So not anymore.
Last couple months? Last couple years? Since the
probably
pandemic?
30 years.
Oh, really?
Yes.
No shit.
All right. So let me tell you a little bit of. So what is a vaccine? A vaccine is, as you said, exposing your body to the bad thing, right? The pathogen, the virus, bacteria, right? In a way that is not going to make you sick, to alert your immune system, so your immune system learns, because we have a immune system that can learn, and then is prepared. There's actually something we call memory cells, that are cells that remember that thing. And then if that thing shows up, as you described it, then they expand rapidly and they gobble up and destroy that, right? Before it has a chance to make you sick.
Right.
So that's in principle what a vaccine is, right? So now how do you train your immune system? So you can train your immune system by, as you say, introducing a weakened virus that you've beaten around, so it's not working really well. So it's not going to reproduce. Your immune system has a chance to learn about it, right? But you don't need the whole virus. You could just take a piece of it. If you can take that piece and produce it in some other way, it's going to be even safer, because when you try to weaken the viruses, you could have a few viruses that are not weakened and actually make you sick, right?
And that happens sometimes.
And that's what used to happen, right? So when we started with the smallpox vaccine, it was a small actual virus, right? That was weakened, and a whole bunch of people did get sick. Not as bad, but they survived and went on to have an immune response, which, by the way, was what made the American independence war be successful, because there was a lot of smallpox going around the world, and the vaccine had just been invented, and George Washington realized that a whole bunch of his soldiers were coming down with and dying from smallpox. So he had the first mandated vaccination program for all of his army, which he kept as a top state secret.
Oh, really?
Because it was a weakened virus that did make people sick. So if you're vaccinating your whole army and you're making them sick, and they have to be in bed,
For a couple
bedridden
days.
for a few weeks,
Oh, wow.
and then the British learn about it and attack at that moment. So,
but after that, they were clear.
But then after that, they were clear,
and the British,
were not. Exactly. So it was
they were still
perfect.
killing people
So it was
all over the world.
The first U.S. mandate of a vaccine that was successful, right?
Was the smallpox by George Washington.
Yep, by George Washington. So
American independence is owed to a vaccine.
To a vaccine, totally. Right. So,
but that was
using a whole virus
that was
with
the
actual, initial one. But then we learned you don't need to put the whole thing.
Do we know what year that was? Do we know what year the independence? 1776. So 1775.
Somewhere around there. I'm a cell biologist, not a historian, but
it's all good. But that's independence.
Exactly. So since then, in recent years, now that we know how to make pieces of things, of viruses or bacteria or body cells, then we've learned that if we just put the whole virus is, thousands of proteins with lots of little things inside. You don't need to develop an immune response to the entire thing. You just need to develop an immune response to what's on the outside, right? Because
that's how it connects.
That's how it's going to connect. That's what your cells are going to see. That's what they're going to be attacking. So why waste immune resources to develop resistance against things that it's not going to see all the time? All right.
Wouldn't it see the whole virus? It's not gonna get pieces.
Yeah, but it's gonna attack the outside, right? So it's gonna your immune system has to grab it from the outside to bring it in and destroy it. That's what matters, right?
You know what? No, what's wrong. I'm old, and in the 80s and 90s, they presented us viruses. Is it the mosquito-looking thing? Remember, it had the legs and the body and the head,
yes,
and it injected, and it took over. It doesn't look like that. It looks like balls. COVID looks like the balls with the things on the outside. It doesn't look like a virus. Or is that what viruses look?
Okay, the one with the spider is a bacterial virus.
Okay.
That it's awesome, and it looks like a spaceship thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I think of.
Yeah. So many other viruses are round.
The round. So you just take a piece of the round. You don't need the whole round.
So in the case of coronavirus, right?
So
in the case of coronavirus, it's called a coronavirus because it looks like a crown. And because it has these decorations with these little spikes on the outside, and then the RNA is inside, that is going to take over, start making copies of itself if it gets into the cell.
Okay.
So it uses those spikes to grab onto the surface of a cell, of a naive cell, and to get inside. And then once it's inside, it starts replicating. So if you make an immune response against the spike protein, that's all you need.
That's it.
That's all you need to get an efficient protection against the virus.
So
that's the way it works with flu. That's the way it works now with measles. So the measles vaccine, the mumps vaccine, all of those are no longer viruses anymore.
All right. So why do we need a booster?
So
I don't
those
have a
have
measles
been
vaccine.
for a long time.
I don't have a measles or a polio booster.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's not a vaccine.
It is a vaccine. So
But you need multiple shots all the time.
So tetanus. Let's go to tetanus.
Okay.
You need a booster every 10 years.
Okay.
Right? So
It's
there
been
are
like a year and a half.
So things are different, right? So you cannot generalize.
Oh man, that sounds crazy though, Professor.
But there's other thing about this booster with COVID that we need to get back into. But once we explain other things, so let's not get onto that, right? So different diseases, your immune response will be able to respond better or worse, and that response may be forgotten. The memory cells are lost, or those memory cells may be long-lived, right? In which case you have a longer response. So in how your bodies respond to different diseases will vary from case by case. All right?
So how could they say that everyone needs a booster if it's case by case?
Case by case of disease.
So not by person.
Measles is different than COVID, is different than flu, is different than...
What makes COVID more deadly than the flu, polio, smallpox?
Yeah.
What else is there? Jaundice, malaria. Why does COVID need these boosters and the extra booster?
Yeah.
And you can't take anything else. Why?
Yeah.
Is it so intense?
It's because
it's designed in the lab, wasn't it?
It's because it was
the Wuhan clan, son. Wuhan clan, son. You got to protect your neck from the Wuhan clan, son.
So let me just go back to the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
Right? So it is a vaccine. It's not a gene therapy at all.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not an RNA therapy. What are they saying in the news?
RNA, but it's not a therapy. All right. So
I don't know what therapy means.
Exactly.
But how is it different than why?
So let me answer that question that you're asking. So I told you that you can produce a piece of a virus and inject it into a person, and then that their immune system will mount a response, right?
Right.
So how do we do that? So we can produce the protein. We could produce, for example, the spike protein of COVID.
Okay.
We can produce it in the lab.
How? You just scrape
with
it off the
bacteria.
edge?
No. So you take the genetic code. You can take the genetic code that produces only the spike protein, not the whole virus. You can put it on a bacteria and tell the bacteria, okay, you make gobs of that, right? Mm-hmm. And then you can purify that out of the bacteria, clean it super well so that there's no bacteria left, and then use that to inject you, right?
And it's just the square trying to go on the round peg, peg. That's
exactly.
all you're putting in.
Right. So we could do that, right? And
that would be not an RNA therapy. That's
not
a
it's a
vaccine.
protein. It's a protein vaccine.
That's still a vaccine.
It's still a vaccine.
What is Pfizer?
All right. So we could do that, but we could not do that super fast and super quick and in the amounts that we need to vaccinate the world. Okay. All right. So it's doable, but not at the scale. My cat,
and
right?
then the world. First your pets, then Argentina.
Exactly. First my kids, then my pets, then
Argentina. And then Peru may get some, maybe.
Yeah. So the other way is to say, okay, we can give the code of that spike protein, only the spike protein, to your cells so that your cells produce the protein, and then they chuck it out, and then your immune response will mount a response to that protein.
And now we're at the nitty gritty.
Yes.
Now we're here.
All right.
What else?
You could do it not with RNA. You could do it with DNA. All right. So
really,
yeah. So the
so instead of
Johnson
giving the thugs,
Johnson,
you're giving them a book. You're saying, here's the book of what's going to happen if this guy comes, instead of the guy came.
Exactly. Right. So,
what else
so that's what we're doing
I think people are scared of what's in the book. I think people are scared of when you send that code in to fight that thing, what else can they sneak in? And how would you know as a citizen?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So,
I mean, maybe here in the States, I mean, God bless, we're America, but frickin' Uzbekistan or some shit? You know, somebody that wants to
sure,
do,
right.
you know.
So if
I don't know anything about Uzbekistan, you guys.
well,
that was just the most standing stand I could come up with.
right. So if I was in Russia, you know, I would not trust.
You would take the
Putin.
Sputnik?
I would not
Sputnik
take
virus?
Sputnik.
Really?
At all. Right.
You wouldn't?
I would not.
Why?
So because I don't trust that they're not because of the code, because the code is, you know, we don't have it. They clearly don't have enough knowledge to do something so nuanced that would manipulate me, right? So it might kill me. I could eat, you know.
Well, they're not that good? What do you mean they clearly don't have it? They're that far behind? On molecular?
So, yeah, correct, right. So, but also worldwide. Worldwide, we don't have enough knowledge to be able to produce a code that will make you do things that you don't want to do. Essentially, is what people are afraid of. Right?
No. I don't think it's do stuff. I think it's I hit 55 and now I got heart disease, or I you know what I mean? Like it can listen.
What specifically? Specifically?
Okay,
That's the problem.
Okay, here we go. You're at 60 and you're obese. It triggers something. You die. Right? If you're at a certain age and you have certain comorbidities, it triggers something, and grandma's gone. And nobody has anything to say about it because the code turned on in the injection. Now, full disclosure, my family's vaccinated. I'm vaccinated.
Let's just remember
I'm not
people are
anti-vaccination.
dying from the virus, not from the vaccine.
How many vaccinated people are dying from the virus is the question.
Much fewer than non-vaccinated.
Are you sure?
Absolutely. Right. So look around the world where there's very little vaccination. Who's dying? All the people that are susceptible. How many are dying? In the hundreds of thousands of people, right? And these are people that are not dying from vaccines. These are people that are dying from the virus.
The virus are comorbidities in life, and the virus is taking them out.
Correct, right.
Because healthy people aren't being taken out.
So healthy people are being taken out.
They are.
Oh, absolutely.
Healthy people.
Healthy people. No question about that.
And what? No.
Children are getting knocked out.
Children.
Healthy children.
Not with bad diets, not with comorbidities, not with diabetes. Not
so
obese
there's always
children.
going to be there are many cases, and you can see this in the distributions of immune responses. Some people don't have a chance to build an immune response quickly enough to defend.
Those outliers? Are those children outliers, or are they the majority?
There are outliers, no question about it.
So there's outliers that have been vaccinated that are still dying too. So it's the same.
But much fewer. If you compare the numbers,
okay,
right, of who is getting into the hospitals right now, it's 10 to 1 are the unvaccinated, right? So right now I'm vaccinated. You know, I'm going bowling, I'm going to the restaurants, and I'm not worried about it. Why? Because I know I'm protected. If I was unvaccinated, I would be, extremely careful because I'm taking my life in my.
It's that serious right now.
That serious, all right, and so no question that vaccinated people are protected. The data, so we have to look at the data.
A couple months. What kind of vaccine only lasts for a couple months?
So right now, without the booster, I would be so much more protected than unvaccinated person. So that is what is true. Now, why are they pushing the booster right now? It's because it's been shown by looking at many numbers of people that that some people that are vaccinated are becoming infected. They're not dying. They're not going to the hospital, but they are being infected. And what happens then is that they are passing it on. And the whole goal of this is to shut down the infection rates so that we can just forget about it, right? So if you give a booster to somebody, their immune system is going to be stronger, so that they will not get infected and not pass it to somebody else.
Not get infected, but does it kill the virus? So here's
Yes,
another.
correct.
Here's another theory: is that the vaccine is allowing us to live with the virus until it passes without effect, but we still have it and we can still transmit it, and that is causing the variants. Because we're allowing our bodies.
Where is that coming from?
Our bodies to be like
where is that
petri
coming
dishes.
from? Yeah. So there's ideas. There's ideas. The internet, correct?
I'm just asking.
So
the RNA vaccine kills the virus. It doesn't allow us to live with it with less symptoms.
So just to be using precise language, the RNA vaccine is not killing the virus.
Okay.
The RNA vaccine is training your immune system to recognize the virus as soon as you are exposed to it, and then the immune system will kill it.
So to kill it, not live with it,
correct.
to destroy it.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's very clear. I need to hear that. All
Yeah.
right. Man. Oh, lab leak. It sounds, I don't care, I'm doing it. Listen, it sounds designed to cull
Yeah.
the population like, was that The Purge, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
sick, the elderly, the obese, the diabetic, the poor, the brown, the black.
Did you see the movie Train to Wuhan? It sounds close enough that...
The Wuhan clan, what'd you say?
No, the Train to Wuhan.
Was it about Fauci releasing a virus from the lab?
It was basically...
I didn't say that.
It's an awesome movie.
Is it? The Train to Wuhan?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what's it on?
It's...
Is it new?
It's a year old, maybe 2 years.
And they debunked the whole thing?
It's a zombie movie.
Oh, see?
It's a zombie
movie. Is there a pangolin?
Awesome.
Is there a pangolin like chewing eyes out?
Exactly.
Bats attacking people in Wuhan. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, let's go back. So the reprogramming of injecting the data of when a virus interacts with a cell, what is that called?
The spike protein.
The spike proteins.
Yeah.
So forget the whole ball of the virus.
Correct.
We isolate the spike protein.
Yeah.
We
The code of
distill
that
it down to the
its
code,
code, yeah.
and there's no more bacteria, and we put it into. We do something to get it to where we can inject it into a person's cells.
Yeah.
But the cell can only read for a couple months, and then it gets bored.
Yes.
And it just gets distracted because the book is boring, and then it just wanders off and forgets everything it's read. So we need another vaccine, another booster.
Correct.
And what's in the booster?
The same.
The same book.
The same book.
And we're going to force it to read the same book.
Correct.
Why did it forget the first book?
Well, when you were in school,
Yes.
and if
I dropped out in 6th grade.
Liar. I know you have a biology degree.
Just kidding. Okay, go. 6th grade.
So, you read it once. You might remember or not. You read it twice. You remember better. You read it 3 times. You really remember, and you get an A in the exam.
Explain polio.
All right. So.
Explain polio. Why does polio get 1 copy, and this thing is making Pfizer billions?
Yes. So that's because of the transmissibility of the virus. All right. So
polio wasn't transmissible like that.
Correct. So not to the same extent. So it's not an airborne virus. All right.
It was designed to be an airborne virus.
Well, no matter what, it is an airborne virus.
I'm sorry, Professor.
And polio is not.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So the way of transmission, the mode of transmission, the reproducibility, the load of the viral load needed to get a successful infection are different for polio than it is for COVID.
Why is this so potent, man? Why is this so big and badass? SARS wasn't this big and badass.
Correct.
MERS wasn't. MERS wasn't.
Correct. Right. So because different viruses have different successful rates of infectivity and depending on different viral loads. So, and just a viral load is basically says the number of viruses that are needed to get a successful infection. Right?
Okay.
So you need 1 virus to get sick or 1 million viruses to get sick, right?
So SARS, South Asian virus, compared to the Middle Eastern virus, which was stronger? Because SARS was first, Middle Eastern was second.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
So are they getting progressively worse?
Not necessarily, no. So there's been other viruses that pop and then die out because people's immune
Swine flu.
response are strong enough to exactly.
H1N1. What was that?
Exactly. So same thing. Well, and of course that's flu, but
Okay. Swine flu. I guess it is.
Yeah, that was a flu. Right?
Yeah.
That
Not a virus. A flu. What's
it
the
is-
difference between a flu and a virus?
So flu is related. It's a virus also. Right?
Okay,
So it's
so
a
it was a
different
virus.
different respiratory tract infection. Right?
Okay.
But it's also a virus. SARS is a virus. SARS, MERS, COVID. They're all from the same family.
They're all COVIDs.
They're all coronaviruses.
Coronavirus.
Yes, they're all coronaviruses.
So they're all round. That's the
Yes.
shit. So
Yeah,
what's the
they're
other?
all-
The bacterial viruses are the only ones that look like aliens.
Those are bacteriophages.
Yeah, phages. That's what they are.
Yes.
Phages. I remember that.
For
Okay,
bacteria.
so coronas are the round beach balls that Buzz Indian just.
Correct, right. And flu viruses are also round, or adenoviruses.
Okay, that's the most deadly shape. Is the round.
Well, it happens to be. I don't know that it's the shape as much as what they do.
What's on the outside
Yeah,
of
exactly.
them. It just seems like more surface area when it bumps into a cell. It has more
Yeah.
chances to
Yeah.
grab onto
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
instead of like the bacterial has to land and then inject.
Yeah, yeah.
Where the coronaviruses just touch you.
Exactly.
And each hand is like an octopus.
Anywhere around the surface, he can then
That's
touch the
terrifying.
cell, and then it's the biochemistry, which actually is being worked out by some of my colleagues on campus, on the UT campus, is just if you think of it from an engineering point of view, and not because it has been engineered.
Yes,
to clarify.
it by Fauci.
It is just amazing
scary.
the changes of the spike protein when it touches the cell. It basically becomes a syringe that just enters into the cell, opens it up, and causes the virus to go in.
It's violent. It's a violent virus.
It is a violent virus, yeah.
It's like the Borg. You know who the Borg is?
Yes.
Nerd.
Of course.
Fucking
You will be
nerd.
assimilated.
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, but you will be happy though.
No, you won't. On a respirator?
Yeah. You will be assimilated. You will be happy, and you won't even have to drink anything to be happy.
You won't need any LBA to be happy. So, I still.
But let me tell you a really good story.
Yes, please.
Because another thing that is going around is that it was just done too quickly. That the vaccine was developed like instantly.
Right.
And
But
therefore,
you said 30 years.
Well, okay, so let me clarify. What I was talking about 30 years was our knowledge about what parts of viruses that we need to use to develop a vaccine.
Okay, so they
all
were
right?
working on it.
But the mRNA vaccine is fairly new, right? And most people think that is so new that it was just done, from the moment that COVID showed up to be developed, and that therefore we don't know enough about it that is dangerous, and we don't know what might happen long term, which is a legitimate concern.
Because you just said it takes study after study after study, and it
Exactly.
takes case studies and large groups of
Correct.
people, and it's very difficult.
Correct.
But they just got it out like they already had
Like,
it in
boom.
their pocket.
Exactly.
Like they
had
knew
it
the
in
virus
pocket.
was going to come out of this lab and affect
Yeah,
the world.
absolutely.
And then once
Yep.
we lost a
Yep.
million or two people,
Yeah.
the food supply would be
Yeah,
okay, and global warming
exactly.
would be stopped, and we could stop it with a virus or three as long as Pfizer gets rich.
You convinced me.
All right, we're done. WazzyCircus Radio. You can support us on Patreon. Okay, so let's go back. Yes. Okay.
So, the thing is that the mRNA vaccine has been in development for easily 10 years. All right?
Easily
so,
10 years. Okay, how
easily
long do
10
normal
years.
vaccines take? Normal vaccines take
Years. Yeah. So,
10 years or more?
sure, 10 years.
Or more?
No.
Oh, just about 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's been developed about the normal time.
Yeah.
For what were they studying originally, the mRNA?
So, people were trying to think about new ways of, instead of having to produce the little bit of protein that I was talking about before, which is very difficult
Refining
and not very
it, yeah.
and not very in high scale, to say, okay, if we can just introduce the code into the cells so that the cells of the body, particularly muscle cells, produce a lot of that protein in place, no need to be, producing it, no need to be purifying it. The immune system learns directly about it. So
do you manufacture the code? Like, okay,
Yes.
okay, I can understand taking that little piece of the spike, refining it down, and injecting the people one by
code.
one.
Correct.
No
Oh,
code.
the protein.
The protein.
Yes, yeah.
That would be hard because you got to isolate the protein and make sure
Yes,
it's clean.
exactly.
How do you get the code clean
Yeah.
over and over again? Like that?
That's what has been, the process for a long time of people trying to figure out, okay, how do we produce large amounts of code? That's easy, trivial. We can synthesize DNA, we can synthesize RNA in gigantic, trivial.
How the
right
hell
now.
is it trivial? You can't say that. You
it's-
can't say we produce DNA trivially.
Yeah, well,
That's
so
crazy.
It's because it's been done for now. When I came to UT 20 years ago, people were figuring out how to make this at a grand scale. All
So
right?
just manipulating the mitochondria?
No. This is just with chemical synthesizers. So
Really?
yeah, it's just you could synthesize anything you want in gigantic amounts, industrial amounts.
Really?
Yeah. So you just start from DNA and RNA have a
AGCs,
4-letter code,
Yeah.
right?
Adenosine,
So and these are
guanine,
just
thymine,
chemicals,
theanine,
right?
or something like
So you just have a gigantic synthesizer with the 4 bottles with the 4 chemicals,
that. Oh,
and you just start
wow,
doing
you
1,
just
2, 3, 1, 2,
code
3,
it
1,
up.
2, 3,
No
and driven
shit.
by a computer, and just pump.
No
And
shit.
depending on what blocks you use, you make DNA or RNA. All right. So that is
We're in the future, son.
that has been already in place for easily 10 years. All right.
So is that what they're using for CRISPR to manipulate like fetuses
Yeah.
to have blue eyes, blonde hair?
So in my
tall?
lab, there are companies I can just go online and and I can just say, okay, I want this sequence synthesized, give them my credit card, and then 2 days later I get it in the mail in a vial, and here it is. All right. So that
shit.
is so.
Is that terrifying or no?
Well, so it is terrifying in that, for example, you could be a evil doctor.
Yeah, like me in
right.
my garage.
Right, and then you can say, okay, I'm gonna make the
Most killer dog in the world.
well,
There's
even
gonna be
better.
a beast bully.
Nobody's anymore vaccinated against smallpox,
So you could manipulate it. And make
and
it.
the sequence of the smallpox is known, so I could just say,
Oh,
okay,
no. All right.
smallpox,
no,
send
no.
me a whole bunch,
No,
and then
no. We're
right.
not.
So
no.
it's in theory possible. So what the U.S. set up regulatory systems so that any company that makes the machines to make DNA or RNA are regulated, registered, and any services that provide those, any companies that provide those services have to scan all the requests to make sure that everything is hunky-dory. Now,
evil Waz says, I'll buy one of those expired machines and manipulate whatever I want and sell it to Dubai to attack
now, can
fucking
you-
Yemen. Like, that's crazy.
So that is a worry, all right? So that is a worry. Not scientists trying to manipulate SARS to
Right.
That's children's
There's
game.
a real
That's
worry.
children's game.
There's real shit going on.
Correct. Right.
That's fucking terrifying, man.
They cannot control it though. They do that, they're gonna die
And they're
themselves.
gonna die too,
right?
but you know.
So some people are happy doing that, right? So that's
Oh my
that's,
god.
So
we can produce. That's how they can produce
that's
it so
easy.
rapidly.
Exactly.
That's why the code just manipulate. How do you know it's not doing anything else though, Professor?
Because we know enough about how RNA and DNA work, so that we build it in
We
such
know
a way.
that much.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That it's not going to mess anything else up.
Correct.
20 years from now.
Correct. Yeah.
How do you know that so confidently?
Because it's RNA, and because RNA degrades rapidly. So you have to be really careful about protecting it, all right? And once it gets into the cell, it starts to produce protein, but then it dies. Deteriorates very rapidly.
That's why we need a
That's
booster.
why we need a booster, all right?
I think you're freaking controlling my brain right now and lying. You're like brainwashing me. Because I believe you.
I know what I put in your. I put some RNA in your cup in there.
Well, shit. Maybe wealthy and blue-eyed, man. So take over this shit.
And the last thing I wanted to say is that my colleague, Jason McClellan at UT Austin, who should get the Nobel Prize for this, he started working on the spike protein when SARS came out, which is years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And
that was 90s.
Yes.
That was before the 2000s. SARS.
I think so. And then MERS. And then he followed to work in MERS. And then he figured out, there's his website. And we've been like constantly, making parties and recognizing him for the work that he did for years.
You, McClellan.
To then use that knowledge of everything he had learned to then just say, boom, just make this tiny little change to make it into the COVID and make the COVID vaccine come up instantly.
He saved the world.
He saved the world.
McClellan!
So shout out to McClellan.
Jason, when you come, Jason, when you come on the show.
Yeah.
I'm going to argue with you, but I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I took your shit, bro. Okay. Pfizer?
Yeah. So his discovery was used both by Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson.
What happened with Johnson & Johnson then?
So Johnson & Johnson is using the adenovirus to bring the information to produce the spike protein. The Pfizer and Pfizer and Moderna are using mRNA. So what they do is they synthesize gobs of RNA, and then they cover it in a little fat layer to make little balls of fat that contain inside the RNA. That's what they inject.
And then the cells absorb it through the...
Yeah.
How does the fat attach to the cell?
Good question.
How does the fat attach to the cell?
So
dang, I have not been in the mic for a while. I'm sorry.
So that's where the slight differences of the vaccines work. That how they make them. Essentially, what happens is that when you inject it, all the surrounding cells see these little balls of fat. They just grab them, eat them,
to see what it is,
and in opening them inside, they release the RNA.
They trick them. So then the fat cells don't attack.
No.
So the Johnson & Johnson has to attack.
No. I see, because it's a adenovirus.
Yes, the adenovirus. So it has to be assimilated, basically. It has to interact. Where the other ones are just a trick.
Correct.
Like a vitamin to a kid, like Flintstone vitamins.
Yep, totally.
You've made the vaccine and the booster less. I hope you're not lying to me and everybody, because I believe you, because you're my friend, man.
Yeah.
But everything else has been telling me like it's the end of.
So
we're gonna have gills or some shit, which is cool. If I could breathe in the water, it'd be dope.
You don't like my gills? They're nice.
They're nice. Yeah, they look good, man. Yeah.
But just in the real world.
Yes.
What we need to think about is, are there? We have hundreds of thousands or many thousands of scientists in the U.S. Right, that have no bone to pick, right? That have no particular interest in supporting a shade government or whatever, right?
They're just scientists.
They're just scientists, right? And they are all looking at the data, right? And if you were to just make a census of all the scientists in the U.S., forget about the rest of the world, right? Who've been looking at the data, 99% of them agree that is all legit.
It's just numbers, and
it's
the
just
numbers line up.
Right? And the numbers are not lying.
Where did the breakdown between science and reality happen in the media? What the heck happened?
It's
science has been part of America since NASA. We are a science country. We believe in science.
It doesn't
back science.
It doesn't sell. And the problem is Facebook. And the problem is social media, where there's no checks and balances, right? Where any voice has the same weight, whether or not they have the merits. That's why I'm not using Facebook anymore.
If the voice is ridiculous, the people can see through it. If you can just look it up and read about it.
But who's doing that? Nobody is doing that.
I do that.
How do you do that? By looking at scientific studies?
No, I asked Joe Rogan.
Exactly.
not Joe.
So-
I'm not Joe, but like I listen to the people on the show. I listen to other podcasts. You know, I mean,
Exactly. And these are people that don't have.
doctors. They're the same title as you, my friend.
Right. So
They
in,
spend the same $250,000 for somebody to tell them something to repeat. I'm just kidding. I love you. I'm just
it was
kidding.
more than a quarter. Million. I would not do it for less. I think I'm cheap.
I'm not repeating this shit for free, dog.
Yeah.
What's that? What are we looking at? COVID.
Okay, so that's my other favorite site.
Okay.
That's the a whole bunch of other computer scientists and immunologists and particularly epidemiologists on campus and in the UT campus who've gotten together to analyze how diseases spread. And they've been doing this work for many years for other diseases. So they apply all their expertise to try to make predictions of where the pandemic is going here in the Travis County.
Okay, just
All
Travis.
right, just Travis.
Awesome. Okay,
All right,
gotcha.
so this is very much locally applied. And what they do is they, given all the information they have gathered about how the virus is spread and how other measures of vaccination rates, etc., they try to make a prediction of what's going to happen in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, so I can't see the bottom. What does
Yeah.
it say across the bottom?
So across the bottom, in those two graphs, they're plotting different
Dates?
amounts of dates. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all through time, and you can see the different waves that we've
Yes.
had of the virus.
So this is the past.
And this is all the past. And then each of those graphs represent basically the number of COVID infections or hospitalizations. And then on the right-hand side, there's a gray part of the graph that if you maybe can point with the pointer in the right-hand region, right around there, it's all in gray. So today's date is not at the farmost right. Today's date is just slightly left to that.
Okay, so that's predicted.
And then there's the prediction for the next few.
What is
couple of
causing the
weeks.
waves? What is the spike? Is it weather?
Actually, that's really not well understood.
It's not.
It's not well understood. There's a lot of guesses, I would call them. So there's some analysis that have said, this happens because of this, because of that.
What
But-
is this and that? What has been thrown around? What has been thrown around?
Winter, because in winter people are more close together in closed space, etc.
So do those?
But-
I wonder if those coincide the colder days because people are inside.
So that's one of the ideas. But when you start looking at all of them, they don't really match. So the honest answer is that we don't know
freaking
why they're
because
coming
it's been
up and
designed to
down.
take us out in a lab.
every
in Wuhan.
couple of
Wuhan
months.
Wuhan clan.
Well, if you ask the Republicans, they would say, the Democrats are doing this so that every 2 months they stay in power. They just go
Really?
on a spike.
Is that
up
not a
and down.
scientific thing that you're showing us, though?
Well, no,
That's your
that's the actual
colleagues,
data,
right?
But
That is data. So
why
who cares
people-
about the Democrats?
Exactly.
Say?
Right.
Um,
So
Because listen, if it spreads more readily inside and getting people in small groups indoors is
Yeah.
bad,
yep.
what the fuck was with the lockdowns? Is that not
No,
exactly
because people are
the
isolating.
worst?
No, because they're isolating from other people.
But they're going in their homes and they're killing themselves.
No. So
Like isolating your home, and if somebody's sick, everybody's gonna get sick. Shouldn't you be outside?
That is true.
Fresh air, open
But
the windows.
that's not gonna happen, right?
Sunlight.
that you're not gonna go separate away from your wife and your kids.
You could open the window. They didn't say open the windows, open the doors, fresh air,
Yeah.
sunlight, exercise, change your diet, get healthy. Vitamin D, does it help or no? Is that a myth? Is vitamin D helping?
I don't know.
Okay. From what I've seen, it's like
Maybe.
80 plus more percent of the people in ICUs have a vitamin D deficiency.
Maybe. So
And that's just immune deficiency. It has nothing to do with just
Yeah,
vitamin
exactly.
D. It's just they can get sick from the flu. They can
Right.
get sick from a cat.
I would buy that.
So isolating isn't good.
Isolating
Isolation isn't good.
No, it's not as an individual.
Okay.
The answer is the recommendation is not at the individual level, but at the societal level, right? So yes, if you're sick and you're isolating and everybody in your family gets sick, but as long as you stay there, you're not going to be
Just your
infecting
family
the
dies and
rest
no
of
one
the
else
people.
dies.
Well, so that's the whole point
That
of
is
quarantines,
yeah,
right?
that is the truth.
That is the whole point of quarantine. So if I am
So there was an
somebody who's
emergency.
responsible for the society at large,
Yes.
I have to say, okay, everybody stays in place. We're going to try to make the best by you,
It's an
but we're going
emergency
to
level,
protect everybody else.
which
right?
is fair.
Which
Holy
is fair.
Shit, people were dying.
Exactly, right? So
I
that's
just
the
don't
point.
feel like we did a good job on the individual level.
Yeah, and when things got politicized, instead of just talking about how we can make this in a responsible way, like it has been done in many other occasions, then it became an attitude of political identity, and that just threw a wrench.
A wrench and everything. And
Right.
and here's a good example of it, because I listened to the podcast, Joe Rogan podcast, a lot, and I'm a follower. But recently he had I forget the two scientists' names, but the woman was like, "Oh, I've talked to teachers, and they're like, we're immunized. We don't need masks. It's better for the kids not to have masks." I'm married to a teacher, and she's like, "Fuck that. They
Yeah.
need masks.
Of course.
They sneeze in your face. They're snotty noses. They're
Yep.
rubbing their hands on
Yep.
stuff."
Yeah.
Like, I believe the consensus from the teachers that I know, masks are a good thing regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was making fun earlier about masks, if they work or not. But listen, if you sneeze and you have a mask on, it's all good. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you remember the handkerchief in the suits?
Yeah.
You know that came from the last plague back in the 17s when we had 1917. We had
the flu pandemic.
the pandemic. Though everybody wore masks. If you
Yes.
guys Google it, people were masked, and then
Well,
after that,
They were anti-mask people too.
of course they were. Of course they were. But what came from it was a handkerchief
Oh, that's
to
awesome.
cover your face.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Put it here or if you're walking through a diseased place, you cover your face
Yes.
not to get infected.
Yes.
So
So
it's theater. It's theater. It's theater. But I agree
what
with
is
the mask.
theater?
The mask thing. I have asthma. I can't breathe, so I really hate them.
uh-huh.
Okay, and so I can't breathe.
Yeah.
It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. N95s are made that no particles enter in while you breathe. Regular surgical masks are designed to keep particles from your mouth going out.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a double mask because you couldn't freaking breathe in and out because it'd be
Very
too
well.
close.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you put on a regular cloth mask and hit a vape and blow out of it, all the smoke comes out. If you sneeze,
Yeah.
all the particles come out.
No.
Less viral load comes out.
Correct.
And that's what we're looking for.
Exactly.
So,
So
I'll
it's
accept
a barrier,
that.
right? So
It's
it's
a
not
barrier.
a 100% barrier.
But to be
So if you
angry and
drop-
emotionally involved with mask wearing is ridiculous.
Well, yeah, but I totally agree. All right, so it would be great if we were a polite society, right? Where we would just say, okay, when I go to your house, do you want me to wear a mask or not?
Yes.
When I go to
A
your
polite-
house,
that's a beautiful.
when I go to your restaurant, do you want me
polite
to
society.
wear a mask or
I
not?
will.
Right? And I will.
I
right?
will jump through your hoops. Dude, the Mexican.
Yeah.
When we were in Costa Rica or we were somewhere else on the WazzyCircus, they made us wash our shoes at the restaurant door. It was a foreign country. It was some country we were in, and we had to scrub our feet before
Yeah.
we sat down.
And
I didn't argue with
you-
them.
exactly,
I'll definitely
right?
do it.
Yeah.
Oh,
right.
what are you, a dickhead?
Exactly.
Don't be a dickhead.
Exactly. Right. So
But to enforce it with force and
So-
repercussions is out of control.
well, that's where you have to take the view of the epidemiologists, right? Their view is to protect society at large. And if you have the largest numbers of people putting barriers, the inevitable result is that you're going to reduce viral loads, because we know that, right?
Yes.
And therefore, you're going to reduce infections.
No, but
right?
it comes to the debate of
So,
why are the risky
So-
out? They should stay
so
home
is-
and allow me to live my life as an
no,
American.
no. I think the way to think about it is, what is my responsibility as an American to make sure that everybody around me is safer if I do this?
I got vaccinated. I got stuck twice when I didn't believe in it.
Yeah.
And now I still got to mask up and protect other people because it didn't work, and I need another one now.
No, it did
and
work.
I still have to put a mask.
It did
on.
work, but there's a risk that it might not work, that you might still be infected and pass it along to somebody else. So let me just put it this way. All right.
Yes.
So you're clearly protected. You've been vaccinated. You're not going to get sick. And if you get sick, it'll be, slight fever, like an old cold virus. No big deal, right?
But I can still spread it.
But you could spread it.
Oh,
no.
no.
How would you
Why?
feel? How would you feel if you got sick, transferred it to a grandma
No, yeah.
who got
you're
sick and she
killing me.
died?
That's why I
So-
got vaccinated, Arturo.
And wouldn't you exactly do the same thing for still wearing a mask right now?
Well, it's not the mask. Why did I get vaccinated if I can still pass it to grandma?
Because you're going to be, so it's all about
I'm
chances.
still infected.
It's all about the chances, right? So if you were not vaccinated, the chances that you would be terribly sick, given that you're, a good, healthy guy,
Right.
are not going to be that bad, right?
Mhm.
Why are you getting vaccinated? So make sure that grandma, that kid, don't die.
So
And the same thing, now your chances of being infected are dramatically lower, but are not zero.
So the reality is, vaccinations protect you and no one else. Yes.
They
Yes.
protect everybody else because
No, they don't protect anybody else.
because they reduce the chances that you will pass it to somebody
No, it doesn't.
else.
I
It
can have the
does.
vaccination and still pass it on if I don't wear a
Not,
mask.
no, at the same rate.
Not at the
So-
same rate, but I still can.
You could.
So hold on, I just
The-
want to
so
be
the
clear.
probability.
I'm not
So-
trying to I'm not trying to knock
Correct.
anything. I'm trying to be clear. If you're vaccinated, you're protected, but you can still harm others. Is what I'm trying to.
Correct.
So we need to be careful.
Correct.
So the assumption that I'm vaccinated, I'm good, I don't need a mask, leave me alone is wrong.
It's wrong if you care for other people.
So compassion, that's fucked up. So no, they're not safe.
Correct.
No one's safe around me but me.
Correct.
Oh, that's fucked. That's not getting out. I didn't understand
Until
that.
we can have it under control.
Hold on. When they gave me my shot, they didn't say, "Hey, you're good, but you can still kill people." Nobody is saying that.
Because we didn't know that.
But we know it as of when.
Because now
We
that
should know this.
now that we have been looking at people 6
That's
months down the
fucking
road,
scary.
it's because this is all new, right? So we have now that we have seen people that have gotten the 2 shots 6 months ago. Now we see that a fraction of them, not all of them, but a fraction of them are getting reinfected, right? So therefore, they pose a risk
Because
to
the
other
cells
people.
forgot the book because they've read it
And they don't
over,
forget it completely, so they're still protected.
But it's
But they could
like
pass
it's
it.
footnotes. They got footnotes.
Exactly. So they could pass it along, right? And I don't want to pass it along to anybody. I don't want to be responsible for anybody else.
No, and listen, none of my instructors at iFly, all of us, none of us. A lot of us are vaccinated, some of us aren't. None of us want to harm anybody, guys.
Exactly.
So listen, fuck. I hate teaching classes with a mask on because I can't breathe because I have asthma and I'm smoking constantly. Maybe we should wear masks, not for a political reason. As iFly instructors, I'm talking to iFly instructors only, and skydiving instructors.
Well, particularly iFly instructors who are interacting with kids all the time.
All day. And none of the kids.
day
And
in, day out.
my son
Very few kids.
My son was vaccinated today,
Yeah.
and he's only 12, and I didn't like it. It made me hurt inside.
Uh-huh.
I had a physical reaction that he got, and my other one's my 9-year-old is getting vaccinated tomorrow, and I have a visceral anguish.
I wish I
I-
could
if
figure
they
out how
come
to make
out-
that better.
Because listen, if they I know the autism thing and all that, but if they come out fucked up on the other end,
And the autism is fake.
I know. Fuck off,
We can
Professor.
do
Okay,
another
we'll
we can do another podcast on that.
We'll talk about that. But if anything happens to them, I'm angry. And who do I blame?
Correct.
Where do I go? Where do I go if my kid can no longer read in a week or two?
Wait, no.
Fuck off, man.
So-
I'm being real, son. Look
So-
at me in my eyes. I'm not kidding when I say
So-
that shit. I'm the unwashed
Absolutely.
swooper.
Absolutely.
I've got a velocity and I'm hooking it at the ground. I have no knowledge. I don't follow sports. I don't follow baseball, football. I don't follow anything. I follow Kurt Bartholomew and Genie, and I follow Nick Batch and fucking Skydive Chicago. That's what all my whole... Oh, dude, Raphael Schweiger. If y'all want to know, Drew Steele. I watched Drew Steele fly, and that's my whole world. Like, it's scary, Professor.
It is scary. Well, you know,
I've got children that I love more
the
than
world
any
is
fucking thing
scary,
that ever existed.
and that's awesome, right? And life is scary, right?
It's
And
not helping.
life is scary, but it's also awesome, right?
Yes, it is.
So them going on a bicycle ride on their own is scary,
Yes.
right? And letting them just say, okay, yeah, you've learned how to ride a bike. Seems like you know how to go around the city
You're
on your bike.
hypnotizing me with your nice words.
Go with it.
I'm
right?
talking about children getting
And-
the vaccine. Okay, I'm
and-
sorry. Children getting the vaccine. My
Yes.
12-year-old got one today.
Yeah.
Should I feel fucked up?
No, you should feel safe.
How do you know what's good for kids so soon? We didn't even know what's good for adults yet. They're babies. They're not little adults. Their chemistry's different.
have
We both
doing
know.
vaccines on children for decades.
What is it? Just a lighter dose, or is it a different vaccine?
It doesn't matter, right? So we know what happens when you give a child a vaccine for decades.
Okay.
So, and this vaccine was tested in probably at least 25,000 kids. All right?
What the fuck is that compared to 300 million people?
No, it's a big number still, right?
It's not that big of a number. Dude, we probably have 100 million children. We tested
Yeah,
on
of course.
25,000. That's
Well, by
fucking-
now,
come
that was
on.
when
That's
it was
not a good number
tested.
for me.
All right, that's when it was
Give me
tested.
25 million children for 3 years and give me the results, and then I'll trust you.
And then, so what you're saying is that you are willing to risk your kid to get infected, get a bad
No,
disease.
I just need to know more.
Well,
I just
you've-
did it, so
you've-
I'm
you've-
obviously not
exactly,
that
right? So
responsible.
we have to make a decision, right, as parents. So it's like,
Ugh,
okay,
it's so fucked.
do I weigh the risk of them getting really sick or getting the
Yes.
vaccine, right?
So when I saw him jump on the couch today with his laptop to do his school, I was like, you're
And-
not going to get sick maybe, but you might be fucked up.
That is the beauty of being a parent, right?
No, that's not beautiful.
Every fucking decision, you're going to be thinking about it twice, 1,000
Ugh.
times, and never be sure.
It makes me
and you
nauseous.
just have to, as my therapist told me, right?
Uh-huh.
Going through this anxious period,
Yes.
it's like you are doing the best you can as a parent. Given the information you have, you're going to make your best possible decision, your best possible effort, and that's okay.
As a 22-year-old, not 22-year-old, 22-year professor at UT, tenured, you're vaccinated.
I'm
Triple.
triple vaccinated.
Are your children vaccinated?
Yes.
So you recommend it
I highly recommend
for everyone you love.
for everybody I love. Yes.
And how do I convince my friends that still have reservations? What would you say?
So trying to explore why they have reservations and how they weigh those reservations with
Because it's not easy. Everybody
The-
has different. That's not a
Exactly.
good question. That's not
with the consequences of how would they feel
Mhm.
if they were to pass it along to somebody who's susceptible and have a bad outcome.
So from our Patreon,
Because when you have a virus, you're going to pass it on.
Every time. They're very... Yeah.
Highly chance.
How
High
many
chance.
viruses have been airborne before this? Other than SARS was airborne.
Oh, flu, cold virus. They're all airborne.
What makes COVID so much more deadly than those?
Is multiple things.
It was designed to be more deadly.
It was designed to
By
be
Fauci.
super. By Fauci.
No, I didn't mean that. Don't take me off of YouTube. I'm just kidding.
We
It's
are
jokes.
just-
Please forgive me.
We love Fauci.
So, no, we don't.
I love Fauci.
Really?
Yeah.
You trust him?
Oh, completely. Yeah. And I think he has good spunk. I think he is...
Fucking spunk.
He's able to get online and, to get there and say, they don't like it. That's
Nope,
okay.
I'm not being quiet. Listen. Obama banned Game of
Thrones?
Function. Yes. No, he was a fan. What is Game of Function research?
Gain of function is...
Gain of function.
Correct. Gain of
Making
function.
shit more deadly.
No, it's...
Gain of function.
Sure. It's
So
the
to control
ability...
the function.
Correct. Right.
So make it deadly or not.
Correct.
To control it. Was it banned in the United States under Obama?
I have no idea.
The
I'm
evil
not following
Obama.
that.
I know
Yes,
you
exactly.
guys. I know my fans. You don't know.
I'm not
It was.
following that.
So it was. And then Trump came in and Fauci was able to go around and refund it, not on American soil. And so you don't know anything about him funding Wuhan labs.
Not following that.
Fauci is part of the
But-
Wuhan clan. Look,
Okay.
he has a Wuhan tattoo on his
It's
left shoulder.
cool
so
then.
It's not cool. Because,
You want me to show
okay.
you mine?
Wuhan clan! You Mexican Wuhan. So, one of my dear friends, no names, I don't want this to sound
So,
out of this world, but his real fear was Fauci reinstated the gain of function research on coronaviruses, couldn't do it on American soil. Mr. Xi Jinping allowed it to happen on Chinese soil under American funding. The only lab that could take it had many violations of fucking fuck-ups, but it was the only one that she would allow it to happen at because everything else is government sanctioned and she didn't want anything to do with this. That's whatever. Fauci funds it. Us. The U.S. funds it. Not Fauci. Us. Under Trump, we fund gain-of-function research on COVID round corona viruses in this lab
with the purpose of
controlling it, designing it, whatever, making it more or less, understanding it. Maybe the scientists were very pure.
Yep.
And then a pangolin climbs on the roof and mates with a bat, falls off, and a guy eats it, and then the world gets infected with coronavirus. Or it was leaked from the lab on accident from a mistake. A couple people got sick a couple months before and died, and their family members maybe went to the wet market to buy food, and it's not wet market. It's not the floors aren't wet and there's fish flopping around. It's just a place. It's a swap meet, man. The Chinese aren't ridiculous. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
They're not ridiculous. You know what I mean?
I know.
It's not a wet market. It's a place, and then, dude, come on. It doesn't sound right. It sounds like it sounds like there was a mistake at a lab that we funded.
That could have been.
Shit got out. It's an American virus. And the man that funded it is now in charge of cleaning it up, and he's actually put on a pedestal as a hero. Is that true? Or does Fauci have nothing to do with it? There was no gain of function research, and a pangolin did fuck a bat, and a Chinese man ate the kid, and now he spread it to the world. One guy.
Yeah, exactly.
One guy.
So, it seems like a lot of steps that are not corroborated, that nobody know anything about it, right?
Gain of
For
function
a lot
research
of people,
funded in Wuhan, yes or no?
possibly yes. So sounds like maybe clearly seems that there were some funds of the NIH being transmitted to Wuhan.
Okay.
Right, for
Does
research.
the Wuhan lab study corona
Yes,
viruses.
absolutely.
COVID.
Why?
Ground viruses.
Do you know why?
To understand.
No. Why there?
Because you can't do it in the U.S.
No.
Why?
Because the entire area
Is infected with COVID.
is essentially, yeah, exactly.
No,
right?
fuck off.
So,
No, really.
No, I'm not fucking with you.
I got on the cuss. I'm so sorry, Professor.
Because many studies from years have been looking at the distribution of coronaviruses around the world.
Okay.
All right. And there are gigantic deposits, I will call them.
Okay.
We call them reservoirs.
Okay.
Of viruses floating around bats that are really prominent in that whole entire Wuhan region surrounding Wuhan. All right.
So that's why they're studying them there.
That's why it's a
Hotspot.
hotspot. It's a mine, very rich to explore what the viruses are, what they're doing. All right.
But it's a bat. It's a mammal, but it's a bat. It's not.
a bat.
It's separate
they're
from,
bats,
from
right.
Homo sapiens.
Correct. Right.
How did it jump?
Because many viruses that are really bad for people do that jump from an animal to a human.
Would that happen over a long period of exposure over and over again?
AIDS.
Or
AIDS, for example, is one case.
Somebody fucked a monkey in Africa.
Ate a monkey. So we know
I'm sorry, Professor.
that HIV
came from somebody eating a monkey.
Well, not from eating. I don't know the details of that.
So he fucked the monkey.
Maybe he fucked the monkey. As long as he had a happy time. But
yeah, I get that. It jumped from a monkey to a human.
It clearly jumped from simian to humans.
One person can affect the globe.
Yeah. Because they pass it to another person, and then from that person to two people, and boom. If those people happen to be killed by a bomb that came from somewhere else, nothing happened.
But
right?
if they don't, it spreads.
If they don't, it spreads.
What's the pangolin theory? How did they get from a bat to a pangolin to a human? Why did they go to a pangolin? Why is a pangolin? It's a beautiful creature with shells and
Yeah. So let me give you the example of MERS. All right.
And may I get a refill, please?
So MERS is this virus related to SARS,
Middle East
related to
respiratory
COVID.
syndrome.
All right.
It's a COVID virus.
It's a coronavirus.
Okay.
All right.
Coronavirus.
Yeah, that spread in the Middle East.
What's the difference between COVID and corona, please?
It's just a subtype.
Okay, so
They're all
COVID is a corona, but it's
Correct.
a COVID. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Was it spread in the sand? Is that right? Or is that
No.
wrong? Okay.
So all coronaviruses have huge reservoirs in bats. And bats are found everywhere, right?
In the Middle East and the desert too?
Yeah. Well, there's areas where there's lots of insects and water.
Yeah, well, the same thing in Arizona. So there's bats.
Yeah.
So it was a
There's
bat
lots of bats.
virus in the Middle East.
So it's a bat virus, but then got transmitted. And they have, and I'm not familiar with the data intimately, but they have done a lot of analysis that demonstrate that it went from a bat to a camel. And I don't understand how this is established, but
What was the camel's name? Fuck that camel, man.
From camels to humans.
Really?
Yes.
So like the bat just landed near the camel got infected.
Yeah. Give it a kiss,
Dude, that's fucked.
Yeah. So
at any moment, at
we
any
know that
time-
viruses do this, and exactly any moment, any time,
A
this is-
dog and a bat and a cat,
Yes.
a bat and a rat,
Right.
a bat and a hat,
correct.
a bat on a boat, a bat.
One fish, two fish.
Yes.
Exactly. So
Holy shit.
this is why it's so important to study all of those viruses,
I've got goosebumps.
where they are rich and where are they most prominently found? They are found in the Wuhan region.
The
So
Wuhan region.
is it responsible to fund the research to study what's going on there? Yes.
I
All
think
right?
you're a Fauci supporter. Hey, why haven't more people been infected before now by fucking coronavirus? Like why 2021 and not 1950? If it's a high viral load of bats in the Wuhan, those people have been there for
We
hundreds
have been
of years.
biting our nails for years.
I don't know.
How this is,
no
when
way.
is this was going to
No
happen?
way.
Yes.
Why not 100 years ago? These people have been around bats for centuries. The Chinese have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
If you look at Confucianism, it predates Christianity. Have they had prior outbreaks of this thing?
Probably, but they were living in the villages. One village gets wiped out, then they're staying in place.
Maybe.
Right. Now we have airplanes. So we have one person
Yeah.
infected in Wuhan that flies to Tokyo, and then from there to New York, and boom, right?
All right, technical difficulty. We ran out of card space because this conversation is off the hook. He's just so smart and so calm. You gotta believe him. I don't believe him. I believe him. I believe him. He's a friend of mine. He's not gonna lie to us, guys. He's giving us real information. Back to the show. I'm not sure where we were. We couldn't pull it up and watch it, so we're gonna go with some questions. True or false? A negative COVID test means you're safe.
A negative COVID test means you're safe.
That doesn't give enough. It does, but doesn't. If you're not vaccinated, you're not safe. It means you can catch it tomorrow.
Well, safe for what? So
Right, yeah, that's a bad
right there
question.
on the moment. So you are safe in that you are not infected. You're not passing it on. That's how I'm thinking about being safe. You're not going to pass it on, but things are going to change in the next 2-3 days, depending
Right.
on what you do.
Tomorrow. All right, this next question kind of sucks. The internet sucks. You guys suck.
Well, people are trying their best.
Well, true or false, Curtisin, essential oils, and other supplements can protect you from the coronavirus
No.
or treat. Hold on.
No.
Curtisin is not an essential oil. That's two different
No.
questions, though. Essential oils are different.
Well, it doesn't matter. No.
Vitamin D, Curtisin.
No. You need an immune system that is strong.
Well, how do you
and
boost your
responds.
immune system? What do you suggest to boost your immune system?
Get a fucking vaccine.
Hold on. That doesn't mean, listen. If you have a, okay. The tequila has got the professor, guys. Listen,
I mean, you can eat the broccoli, as
If
much
you're-
broccoli
if
as you
you're- if
want.
you're-
It's
if
not
you're-
going to
if
make
you're-
a difference.
But if you're unhealthy, is there any way to boost your immune system so you have a fighting chance if you don't want the vaccine?
Yes.
Is there anything you could do
There's-
if you don't want to get pricked?
Yeah.
What can
no.
you do?
If you don't want to get pricked, there's nothing you can do.
You're fucked.
So you're fucked. Correct. Right.
Really?
So, yes. So if
It takes a vaccine.
give me your most healthy person, and I can put them in front of an infected people who are going to give them a kiss in their mouth. They are going to get sick.
And then they beat it. Why do some people beat it and others don't? What did those people that beat it, what do they have that the others don't?
So things improve if you're young,
Mm-hmm.
if you have a general healthy life. So there's no magic. Okay, so
So if you're
hold
young
on.
and have a generally healthy life, you don't need a vaccine.
You do need it. Well, you don't need a vaccine if you are
Don't care about
thinking-
people.
If A, you don't care about people, and you are willing to risk that you're not going to die. All right? Because we have many examples of people that appeared to everybody around them and their doctors to be perfectly healthy who have died. So are you willing to take that risk? All right, fine. Are you willing to take a skydive jump without your RSL
or your AED
in there,
on?
right? It's basically the same thing, right?
Okay,
So
I got you.
I'm good. I know how to handle it.
I
right?
understand now.
So it's exactly the same
you
thing.
put it
right?
on terms I can understand.
Right. So,
What can I...
but then on
You
top
can't
of that
say
is
there's nothing
in the
you can
skydive
do.
you just die alone, right?
You kill people with
In
COVID.
the other one you're taking people down along the way,
And there's no other way.
and there's no
There's
other way.
no way around it.
Correct.
You have to get stuck by
So
this government
now
bullshit.
it is. Your question was, can I make my immune system better? So
Yes.
yes, generally there's no magic drug, there's no magic compound that you should be eating. You need to be healthy generally, which means having a good, healthy life, drinking less alcohol. I'm sorry to say.
Don't do that.
Smoking less, right?
Don't look at me when you say that.
Eating a good doing exercise, living a general good, healthy life, right? Which will make you live longer overall.
So I've got a real question for you. And all these people behind me would ask you the same question. Why should black people trust this when the government has injected us with fucking tetanus and syphilis and fucking AIDS and LSD and the prison experiments? It's not just the Tuskegee experiments.
Correct.
They have been fucking brown and blacks over
and over,
dude,
and over.
You know, and even if you debunk the smallpox blanket theory for the Native Americans,
Correct.
they started after that, and it went hard since.
Yes.
From anthrax on.
Correct.
So what makes this different? How can somebody in rural Alabama trust going into that clinic that they're not going to hit them with something they hit their grandparents with?
Yes.
That's a real question.
Absolutely. And that is the one argument that I can totally understand at the emotional level, right? Where I can understand why people might be hesitant to trust authority from that perspective, all right? And the only answer I can give is that if you look at how many people around you are being infected and how many people around you are dying, right? So what do you do?
Oh, well,
So you have to take a stand.
Immigrants in El Paso
Yeah.
that are being forcefully vaccinated. What do you say to them?
So I would have to look at that and see if it is an actual case.
It's hard to accept something from an officer in your body,
I agree.
especially mandated.
Yep. Yeah. No, I understand that. Right.
But without it, we could kill everyone.
We could kill everybody. Right.
Omicron.
Well, not everybody.
Well, Omicron. What Delta? Quick question. We get tests. There's no test for Delta or original.
Yes.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there is.
Not that I've taken, and I've traveled internationally. Nobody's given me a Delta test.
So true, but can we do that? Yes. So all the tests at UT Austin are, well, not all, but a sample of them are analyzed. And basically all you need to do is what we call PCR amplify them and sequence them. So just look at the sequence.
That sounds like a lot. So how do you say that the Delta variants, you're not sequencing and analyzing every test that comes in positive?
But you don't need to do every single test.
So
you just do a sampling.
Of the Delta variants. How do you find a Delta variant?
What you do is you amplify the genetic code of the infected person, all right, of the virus that is in that infected person, and then you just sequence it. And then you compare with what is known about being the Delta or any other variants. This is how all the variants are being found.
What does Delta mean? It tracks faster than everybody else?
So Delta is...
That's a funny skydive joke. That was funny. Okay.
Took me a second there.
Yeah, I know. So what does it mean? It's faster?
It's more effective than the older variants. And now Omicron is looking like, we don't know enough about it yet, but it's looking that it's more effective than Delta.
It sounds like Thanos.
It could be completely, yes.
Is it like that effective? Like it's...
We don't know yet. So there's going to be, we need to see what's going to happen. It could die off because there's been other variants that popped up.
Oh, there have been?
Yes. There's been many other variants that have popped up and then they just died off. Right. So Delta popped up and then expanded. So Omicron may expand or not.
Because we've banned travel from South Africa. New Zealand has banned travel completely again. I have friends, I know, but hold on. I have friends that live in these places. Australia is putting restrictions.
Yeah.
Some European, when do we go back to normal?
Oh, God.
When can I go to Abu Dhabi and fly safely and then go to Belgium and maybe we can take the kids to New Zealand and run around the hills and fly parachutes? When will that happen?
If you are vaccinated, you can now. And just wear a mask. Well, different countries have different regulations. So
it's a worldwide epidemic.
Different countries make their own decisions. So you have to abide by those, of course.
So should we feel guilty if we had our pets vaccinated and there's other foreign countries, third world countries that have no vaccination?
Completely.
Yeah, what the fuck is that about?
Is that really?
That is true.
People are vaccinating
Their
their pets?
all day.
Oh
And there's
my
other
God.
countries that don't have vaccinations, man.
Yeah. So
That's
that's
fucked.
shooting ourselves in the foot. Right. So because
Why aren't we sharing?
we need to be sharing.
Why aren't we sharing?
Well,
Professor UT.
because we are not. you
If
know-
we can replicate the code
well, so let me just say
in mass
something.
amounts.
We are sharing, right? In that the U.S. has sent millions of doses around the world, right? So that is a fact. We have been doing that. We
I
need
saw
to be
something
doing
that Pfizer
more
was
of
losing
that.
money and they were concerned, so they cut supply. That might be wrong. That was
I
probably
don't know
some
about that.
clickbait bullshit on Google.
Uh,
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
get to it. A couple more questions.
yes,
We'll get out of here.
questions.
Herd immunity will end the coronavirus pandemic, so vaccinations are not necessary.
Repeat that question.
Herd immunity. If we
Yes.
reach herd immunity, we don't need vaccinations. That's a fucked up question.
No,
man.
that's good. That's a good question.
No, it's not,
Let me
because that
explain
means
it.
everybody that could die has to die, right?
No. So so herd immunity means that there's been enough fraction of the population that are immune, either by natural infection or by vaccination.
That means a lot of people have died, bro.
Well, true, yes. But the question
You
says
say it so
if-
lightly, scientist.
it's just a number.
It's not a number. It's fucking grandma. Dude, people gotta die for that to happen.
Correct.
That's fucked.
But the question is, if we are there, if it's a thing
Yeah.
done, if it's a done deal, we should have done better, but we're there.
Yeah.
So if we are at
Herd immunity.
that point, then we don't need to worry about it. That's what
That
the question
means-
is asking.
Yes.
right?
But that means a lot of people have died.
Yes, correct. So
That's not
we
good.
shouldn't have got. We don't want to get there. We want to get there by vaccination, not by natural infection, because the natural infection is going to
So
be killing
your
people.
answer is yes. If we reach herd immunity, everybody that's sick has died, and then we're fucking
If
way
we reach
less. That's a
immunity,
bad question.
we want to still maintain.
Hey,
So
these questions make my head hurt now that
Yeah,
I'm reading
all
them,
right.
guys.
Next
They're
question.
not making sense.
well,
They
that's-
are, but they're not.
They're trying to do their best.
They're trying to figure it out.
They're
Okay, so
doing
one
their
more.
best. That's why they are your sponsors.
So this is fun because when I was in Mexico,
okay.
I have asthma. So when I went to the pharmacy, I bought a bunch of inhalers
Mhm.
because they're $15 each, not 50, 60, $80 each. So
Yep.
I got a bunch. And then I bought some ivermectin because I was like,
You
fuck
did?
it.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. I bought some back. I got some. We get infected in the Choudhry house. dog. We're good.
Because you were getting worms in Mexico.
No, I wasn't
understand.
getting worms.
I understand.
I-
That's okay.
Mexico has no worms. Mexico is beautiful, you fucks. You just gotta listen. You let the WazzyCircus Adventure Company or Skydive Vacations guide you through what needs to happen, so you have security from the airport to the resort. The resort, everybody's gonna kiss your ass until you leave, and you get on your plane and you leave. We're gonna streamline it. Now
Yeah.
listen, if you rent a car, try to drive through the city and get drunk and walk around and fucking, you're gonna get robbed. We got robbed. We got robbed a lot. And that's my fault because I'm all fucking rambunctious. What were we talking about?
There's nothing like going to a place with somebody who has been there before.
Yes.
Who can tell you how things go.
So I hate to plug it, but what the WazzyCircus Adventure does for you guys is we go bump our head against the wall. We go get robbed by the police. We go get hassled so you don't have to. And that's what we're offering, especially Skydive Vacations. We're going to offer, just stop. What we're going to offer is, not yet because we haven't worked it out, but it'll be seamless vacations. You pay us, you show up, somebody picks you up from the airport with a big sign and like balloons and shit. There's chocolate on the bus. You watch a video, you drink a beer, you get to your resort, you get fat and eat big, you wake up the next day, you go skydive, you end up on the beach, you go snorkel, the next day you go skydive, then you go on an adventure, and then you go home. And when you get home, you don't even realize what happened because it was so seamless. We go get arrested for you so you don't have to get arrested.
Nice.
And that's what the WazzyCircus does. And look at me. If I can get through these foreign countries, you guys can get through these foreign countries with my fucking advice. So back to the ivermectin. Nobel Prize winning professor developed it. This is just a silly thing. I just want to just go through this.
Mm-hmm.
He won a Nobel Prize. It's been treating shit globally.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
For years.
Yeah,
It's people hated Trump. People hated everything about it. Ruined
What does that
things
have to do with it?
because he was an advocate for it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so they're like immediately fuck him, right? If you don't get a prescription from a doctor, you can go to a veterinarian and get an animal version of it, and it's probably stronger because it's for a horse. And if you inject it with the same, hold on, doc, the same amounts, you're going to overdose. But it's the same chemical compound. Yes or no? From a mammal to mammal, from an animal to a horse, the doses might be different. Ivermectin is not horse fucking whatever. It is
correct,
a compound.
Yes. Correct. Yes.
That is administered to horses in a different amount than humans,
Yes.
and people have taken horse doses.
Yes.
But it's not an evil compound.
No,
It's
not at all.
endorsed by the Nobel Committee
Yes.
for fighting shit.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It's a good
and
medicine.
you laughed about it, but because in the media it's been blown up. But hold on, there's other treatments. My whole thing is there's
Okay.
things that man has been doing,
Absolutely.
humans, from the beginning of time. So maybe it's not the Pfizer, but there's things that will destroy malaria.
Yeah.
Ivermectin, no. You don't treat yourself, dickheads.
That's number
Don't
one.
treat yourself. Don't. Dude, I made the fucking mistake microdosing mushrooms, and I did too much for a year. And that's why I'm fucked up right now. But, yo, I self-dosed, and I needed a guru, and I had a guru, and he helped me out. And thing with ivermectin, you don't self-dose yourself, but it's not an evil drug. It's not ridiculous. It's not out of this world. It's not a horse serum.
Correct.
It's not a
at all.
dog serum. It's not
Correct.
a coyote serum.
Correct.
It's a mammal.
People are saying that?
Yes, it's a mammal worm virus destroyer.
It's an anti-worm medicine. That's
So
all it is.
It's not a horse medicine or dog
No,
medicine.
It's an
or a bat
anti-worm
medicine.
medicine, anti-parasite.
Parasites, not
It's an
worms. Let's say
anti-parasite.
parasites.
Yeah, it's a
Can a virus be qualified as a parasite?
no.
So it doesn't beat viruses.
It doesn't. So, it could have, right? So, what do? You do the test, right?
Yes.
So, it's like saying, well, aspirin is great. Aspirin has been used for decades and decades. Even before we had pills, we had the bark, and people were getting good benefits from it, right? But aspirin does shit to, sorry.
You said fuck like 10 times, dog.
Yeah, but shit is different.
It's not. Please forgive him. It's my fault.
But it does nothing to COVID, right? So it's the same thing for ivermectin. You could choose any other over-the-counter drug, right?
It's not over the counter. It's banned.
Well, no, but you could choose any over-the-counter drug that are good medicines for what they do, not for anything else. They
Ivermectin
could,
does not help
in
COVID.
principle, and then you could test it.
Does ivermectin help?
No. So
Not at
that
all.
has been tested epidemiologically, not in individual cases. So you will easily
Whatever. Yeah,
find
of course.
anecdotal
Let's not do
evidence,
that, yeah.
and it's not
Right, but
the way to
on the
do it.
whole,
On the whole,
but
does
it's not
do
evil.
a thing.
It's just
The
not
problem
gonna
is that
parasite.
people are taking large mammal doses, and it's a strong drug.
Yes.
So that comes with side effects.
Yes.
And then people are getting really
So
badly
it's
sick.
misinformation. It's
from
not that the
that.
drug is evil or bad.
Correct.
So
Right.
why do we demonize things? Because what I've been told is, and if it doesn't work for COVID, then this conversation is null and void. But it sounds like it's such an old non-patented drug that nature's something can make it. WazzyCircus can make ivermectin. Arturo Circus can make ivermectin and sell it. And Pfizer doesn't have a patent on it, and they can't stop us. And that's why they're blocking ivermectin from the public. Not because it doesn't work, it's because it's naturally produced, it's easily produced.
It's easily produced.
And you can't make money off of it. And you can make money off the Pfizer.
And
how
you
much
can
do they
make
get?
stories
How much do they
about
get?
anything.
Hold on. How much do they get per dose of Pfizer? Does the government paying Pfizer?
Oh, I have no idea.
We should know.
We should know.
Anybody knows. You guys want to tell
Send
me
us
how
up.
much I cut them off and I talk too much? I understand. I'm a piece of shit. If you have information on how much the government gets per dose, let me know. Please put it in the. This is a heavy topic, and I bet you it's a lot of money. I bet you when I got vaccinated, they charged $2,500.
They're making billions.
$3,000.
They're making billions.
$3,000 maybe. I'm lying. I don't know, but yeah. But when I was at UT, because that's where I got vaccinated, the line was hundreds of people long. And at $3,000 each, they made $30, $50, $80, $100,000 that day at that site. And they're probably, Texas is huge.
Yep.
America's bigger.
Yep.
So what's to stop those guys? And I know those guys. I train their kids. I know you guys. I know you like money. What's to stop them guys? Because they're going to justify it. Because they're going to put their kids in the best school. They're going to get a bigger boat. They're going to better vacations. They can afford more tunnel time from me and new skydiving gear. So in their minds, they're kicking ass. They're kicking ass. Because I have some clients that produce pharmaceuticals. And when you let them speak it, they're saving the world. But when somebody else says, I'm immune because I've already had it, and I've taken Curtisin, and ivermectin saved me, and I've taken other things like vitamin D, and I work out, they get shot down like they're lunatics. But they're healthy, they got sick, and they recovered, and they're being demonized. Where's the balance, dude? Because it's fucked up. Because some of my viewers are not going to take this. They're not going to take it, and they're healthy.
Well,
they're Marines, dude. These guys have flown into Iraq and shot people in the face and crawled through the desert for 30 days and didn't piss for 10 of them. And didn't eat for 9 of them. And you're going to tell them they need a vaccine when they've taken a rattlesnake to the face or some shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, these guys are hard as nails.
Absolutely. So
and these are the armed forces that are mandated. The most strongest guys we got.
You know? So two answers to that, right?
Please.
So number one, we should really never demonize people at all.
Yes.
Right. We should really try to understand where they're coming from, right, and have a dialogue, right? So, and when we're beginning to shout at each other, we've lost the battle, right? So we make no progress at all.
At all.
So so that's number one and most important, right? Now, for the military, when they join the military, they agree that they're going to abide by the military rules.
And you did it, dudes.
And the military rules involve vaccinations, not just to COVID, but everything, right?
But this is different, dude.
No, it's not.
It is. So everything else is one shot in the ass on boot camp.
Sure.
One shot in the ass. Go on your life. This is come back for another one. Come back for another one.
Yeah.
Now you need another one.
So
next year, what's up?
So that's part of the job, right? It comes with a job. You want the job, that's what you need to do.
That's valid for the citizen. For the citizen. Now it's another one. It's 3 in. Is there a 4th one next year? Do I need to get one in April and then September and then June and then
most likely,
December?
Well, do you take the flu vaccine every year?
Once. Not 3 times in 3 months.
Correct. But how many years have you been doing it?
5 years, once a year.
So that's probably what's going to become.
No, but fucking 10 years, I don't know.
That's probably,
whatever.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's probably, we're going to.
It's not for a year, though, Doc.
Well, it just came out, right?
So, yeah, which makes it worse.
No, COVID just showed up.
And the vaccine showed up with it.
And the vaccine showed up, and now you have your booster, and then most likely, we don't know because we don't have a magic ball. We might get once a year.
Is there a risk to getting the polio vaccine 5 times?
Yeah. So in that, if you were to, God, this is complex. Let me think about it.
I'm scared, so I'm asking.
Yes, correct, right. So, you know how some people get a stronger reaction than others to the vaccine, right?
Yes.
And if those people, you were to inject them 3 days later, 5 days later, right, with the same strong dose, you would cause problems. Why? Because their immune system is getting revved up, right? So you don't want to have that revving up of the immune system to be out of control. You want it to have a learned response, but not out of control. So having overly strong injection or overly strong vaccine is troublesome.
So how is it different than what we're doing right now with the booster?
Because they are
3 in 6 months.
And the third dose is a reduced dose. All right. And it's just to have those cells that are called the memory cells to divide and expand in numbers.
Can we not inject smarter memory cells?
No, because those are your own cells.
I knew that before I asked you that.
Yeah. So what you need to do is, by your second injection, and I have done this for years and years in my lab in trying to develop antibodies against a variety of proteins. And it's a standard thing that you inject multiple times, and then you look at the antibody concentrations, and then you see a bump of the antibody, and then it goes down, and then you give it another boost, and then it goes up, and then stays longer, and then you give another boost. So with bunnies in the lab, we would do this 5-6 times, and then we would have really high amounts of antibody.
How many boosts are you thinking? 3? How many boosts are coming?
Most we don't know.
If we're rabbits,
honest answer is no.
We're rabbits.
Most likely 3 and then
not
once a year.
One.
And once a year.
So we're gonna get a boost this year, and for the next couple of years, there's gonna be boosts.
Yeah, once a year.
And don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed if there's
Correct.
5 shots with this one. With this one immunization.
Well, it really looks like COVID is going to be here to stay.
But so it's going to be 5 or more shots.
It's going to be once a year, like flu.
Forever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's just going to stay here. So the beauty of the mRNA vaccine, though, is that because you can sequence and what new virus is coming up, what new variant is coming up, because we can just produce that mRNA in gobs amounts in the lab. You just type in the computer what's the actual sequence, and then make one that is fine-tuned to the new variants that are coming down the road.
So this is some badass motherfuckers fine-tuning that shit.
It's beautiful.
God damn it.
It's exciting.
All right, so no Friday freak out. No, we're going to read the book. We're going to end it on this. Thank you to Professor Arturo DeLozanne.
My pleasure.
For putting up with me and my nonsense. I feel like you guys, if I missed any of your questions, he's already agreed to do it again. We'll do it again. I am more comfortable. I'm not totally convinced. I'll have to watch the show again and really digest it because I've had predetermined dispositions coming into this show from my shitty biology degree, like you mentioned, but it's scary. And I didn't want to get my kids to get vaccinated, and I didn't want to get vaccinated, but we're traveling all over the Caribbean, and I don't want to get sick. Being sick is worse than being vaccinated for me at this point. For you guys, it's different, and I understand your points. I understand your concerns, and I've been asking you guys this. I've been asking all kind of people about this all day. This is very divisive because it's deadly. Grandma could die. We depend on our grandma for travel and love and cookies and shit and awesome food. You guys depend on your loved ones and parents for reasons that I don't give a fuck. I don't have to justify. Like, we don't want anybody to die. This is heavy. The truth is hidden. Why is it so shrouded? Before you read, what is the problem?
With
Why can't we get through this together? Why can't we all agree, get vaccinated, and move forward? What would you say? Last point before we read in the show. Convince my viewers. A lot of skydivers, a lot of instructors don't want to get it. A lot of free thinkers, a lot of landowners, a lot of hunters, a lot of people with their own means do not agree with the government on anything for one fucking thing, and they definitely don't want you to inject them. And these are white people. I'm not even talking about black people that have the syphilis reason.
Yeah.
Convince my wealthy friends why they should vaccinate their children. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Why should they do it, in your opinion, Professor?
So, if they are willing to vaccinate their children for other diseases, this is not different from that. All right? And they obviously shouldn't take my word for it, but what they really need to think about, if in terms of thinking about government and imposition against, for ulterior motives, we all need to realize that there are vast numbers of honest to God people that are thinking nothing but on the well-being of people in society, that would jump at the bit. Not 1 or 2 or 20 people going online, but thousands of people that were screaming at the top of their lungs if there was a problem.
Where do we find those people's opinions, honestly, without the social media or media influence? Where do we find raw scientists' input?
So, well, you can go to university websites. You can go to journals that are available online. You can go to, if you trust the CDC is actually, yes, it's a governmental agency, but it's run by scientists, thousands of them. So you do have to find a location where you can trust, where you can actually see many scientists. And if you have any questions, send a question to people in a university nearby you, right? Because we're all in different locations around the country. Send questions, right? Gotcha.
Awesome.
Most scientists are going to be willing to have a conversation with people.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Professor Arturo DeLozanne. We're going to read from the book, No Shit That I Thought I Was Going to Die when we get out of here. Love you guys.
All right. So this is a chapter that caught my eye because it said, the title is awesome. So, of course, I looked for a gun. And the first sentence says, this event occurred some 40 years ago in Mexico. And being in Mexico, and with the next sentence, I got hooked. This event occurred some 40 years ago in Mexico. It wasn't my fault. I drank too much mezcal, became 8 feet tall, and decided I was made of iron. Mm-hmm. Shortly after I exited this quaint whorehouse by jumping out the window, the villagers of Guadalajara gathered to chase me. It was apparently some sort of local custom. So, of course, I looked for a gun. Afterwards, I jabbered, did some reds, and went to bed. Next morning, I had a hangover. I got up and staggered to the bathroom to piss. Being soon into an unnoticed mattress made me pause in the door until the stitches broke loose. Shortly thereafter, we did a demo skydive into a soccer stadium at 5,000 feet with a panicked pilot who sweated mucho. Viejo spotted, took a snort, and shouted, "Cut! Give me 5 left and a glass of water." Since missing the stadium meant landing in a deep canyon, I compensated and pulled a bit low. I got open at about 75 feet.
Oh, Jesus.
Is that possible?
Under a round. This is old.
Oh, Jesus. Later, Fido, while inhaling energy-producing powders and running backwards, took the orphan kids on a brisk run around the soccer field, tattooed and attired in his blue jean denim hat with purple bandana, gold chain, a purple mesh net tank top, and crotch split shorts with his balls hanging out. Bounced up and down shouting, "Viva Boogie! Viva Mexico! Viva Boogie!" Later that night, Fido won about $500 at a mob scene cockfight. He had a bad flu, so naturally, to maintain the party mode, he took acid to ward off the flu's effect. He should have had a vaccine. It worked. He didn't sleep for 3 days. Locke and I covered his 6 a.m. departure for the airport when it was time to head home. Fido wisely ingested several Reds and 2 or 3 chloral hydrates to induce restful slumber. When the departure was delayed, he ended up in a coma on the terminal floor, pale, white, and drooling. Only a coordinated team effort, including my soulful on the knees begging, got his body released for the flight home. Entering the States, U.S. Customs cheerfully took apart all our luggage and parachute gear and strip-searched Dan and David. They found a half-pound of white powder in the pockets of our jumpsuit legs. "What's this?" they asked. We replied honestly, "That's just tortilla flour that we put in our pockets and jumpsuits for the demo jump so we could be seen better as we skydive into the soccer stadium for the poor orphan children." Blah, blah, blah. We were held until another guy in a dark suit and tie came in with a very interesting expanding suitcase. He measured and mixed up the powder in various vials, carefully swirled them around, and then closed up his suitcase. He stood up and said, "Tortilla flour," and departed. Back home, it took a while to rest up. Fido awoke 4 days later, refreshed.
Fido! Oh, man. Thank you, Dr. Arturo.
You are very welcome. This was
Thank you very much, man.
much fun.
We'll continue it. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Patreon. I hope these shows, I'm trying to live up to what you guys are giving me, son. Any suggestions, let me know. Waz at WazzyCircus.com. Wow. It's a lot to consider. Keep your head on a swivel and hook that shit. WazzyCircus Radio. WazzyCircus Radio Patreon. Thank you, Doc. That was a fun show, man. That's hard to do.
I had a blast.
You know what I mean? Like, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
Right?